you've got hard hats, boots, and mugs of tea with no handle on, next to someone developing code that then might be self-developing later on in months to come and solving problems, looking ahead in the schedule and unblocking incidents that haven't happened yet. That is super exciting.
This series of episodes was recorded live at Digital Construction Week 2025 at the Excel in London. I got the privilege of interviewing some amazing people that are shaping the future of the built environment through the technology that organizations are developing and delivering now and for the future. Although this podcast was worth the entry fee alone, let's admit it, now is the time to register your interest for next year's Digital Construction Week 2026. But if, like me, you can't wait until next year, check out Digital Construction North on the 19th of November. The links to both events, as always, are in the show notes. But just before we go live with this week's episode, here's a brief intro to the topic we cover and today's guest. As infrastructure demands grow across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, so too does the complexity of delivering them. From transport and utilities to large-scale urban development, the sector must respond not only to technical challenges, but also to regional variation in policy, regulation, skills, and economic conditions. Digital tools and smarter processes are central to addressing this complexity, helping organizations plan more effectively, operate more sustainably, and build with greater precision. Yet, transformation at this scale also depends on something less tangible: the ability to adapt ways of working, develop new capabilities, and navigate the gaps between vision and implementation. With this in mind, let's chat to someone who is leading the charge on exactly this topic. Nathan Marsh is the Regional Executive for the EMEA at Bentley Systems. As the senior leader in the region, he is responsible for the strategy, growth, and success of the EMEA business. He has over 20 years of leadership within management consultancy, risk advisory, private equity, and corporate finance, engineering, and construction businesses, all focused on the funding, design, delivery, and operation of complex and critical national infrastructures. Prior to joining Bentley, Nathan served as the Chief Digital Officer for FTSE and SEC listed construction businesses, leading the deployment of digital solutions into major infrastructure programs to create value, reduce risk, and improve performance. Nathan has also served as a British Army officer, played professional rugby, and is privileged to represent industry on a range of expert panels, advisory boards, and committees.
Nathan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much. It's really great to be here.
So we're live. This is actually the final podcasting chat that I'm going to do at Digital Construction Week 2025. So for the listeners, they've already heard your intro, but could you just do a very brief intro to yourself and tell the listeners what you're doing at Digital Construction?
Yes, of course. So I'm Nathan Marsh. I lead Bentley's business in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We've been in business for 41 years. And so Digital Construction Week has always been a key part of certainly the last decade of our presence in the UK. Bentley designs software for designers and engineers, contractors who build infrastructure, and then asset owners and operators. So Digital Construction Week is absolutely core to what we do, and we're thrilled to be here with clients, competitors, partners, peers, and industry leaders. So it's always a great session for us.
I completely agree in terms of you said partners and competitors there, and it's great to see that, and it's great to see kind of the vibrance between them as well.
That's right. So we work alongside as well as against some of
Yeah.
the competition. And it's these big infrastructure programs that bring us all together.
Mhm.
So as someone that's spent his whole career in infrastructure, and I have phenomenal respect for it, I really like working with a diverse ecosystem. And it teaches us a bit about ourselves as well, whether we work with small, medium or large businesses.
Okay, excellent. Let's get into this then, and focus on Bentley.
Sure.
So how is Bentley reshaping the way infrastructure assets are designed, built, and managed across the EMEA region?
Well, we've never seen so much capital. So infrastructure has never been so well invested in EMEA and quite frankly, globally. So there's a really exciting market there from an investor perspective. We're also seeing a lot of demand. Quite a lot of infrastructure is pretty old. I'm thinking UK and European railways, many of the waterworks, etc. So there's a lot of urgency around maintenance, upgrade and replacement. So with those two things together, there's a really strong market signal. And that's exciting for us as an organization. Population is growing as well, and climate change is a factor. So the resources are in short supply, need upgrading, and actually resources are quite constrained. What we're doing is developing our software very much around the principle of openness. So we want our software, and our software is by design open, whether it's an application, a data platform, etc. And that means that the supply chain and our ecosystem partners can all lock into Bentley Infrastructure Cloud, the Infrastructure Digital Twin, which are really important overall operating frameworks that a program needs. So we recognize the demand in the sector. We have never been more open for business structurally and technically. And we're really focused on bringing together a rich ecosystem of partners that would all be focused on one mission to design, deliver, and operate a world-class infrastructure asset. That's what keeps us going.
Nice. It's really refreshing to hear, and I've heard it on multiple chats. This openness, this interoperability, we understand that there's a lot of things going on and there's a lot of tech, and we need to be open to that. Yes, you have your competitors, obviously, but super important that when you're talking to clients, they have that opportunity to utilize the tech that they want to utilize alongside Bentley.
Absolutely. And if you look at the big infrastructure programs, like I touched on earlier, no one organization can and frankly wants to deliver the whole thing themselves.
Yeah.
So it's a shared endeavor. So what better and more responsible approach, I think, to be the center of that shared endeavor on a open for business principle.
Yeah.
I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, 100% with you there. But as with everything, there are challenges, and there's got to be an added. The construction industry has its challenges, let's face it. But what are the key challenges when it comes to implementing tech across varied built environments and economies in the region that you cover?
Well, take a look at Digital Construction Week. There is no shortage of technology here on show, and it's all fantastic.
Yeah.
The challenge, the beauty is there's so much of it. The challenge is there is so much of it as well. So making the right choices, picking the right horses when you start to design a delivery ecosystem for a 5, 10 or 15-year program is really hard. So the proliferation of technology, not just in software businesses, but in engineers, designers, contractors, does make quite a bit of noise. And so it's important that organizations like us who have only been focused on infrastructure can help our clients and our accounts see through that noise and make the right choices for cloud, for platforms, for hosted services, for applications, for APIs. And then we bring our knowledge and the knowledge of others to weave it all together. So one of the challenges, and I suppose benefits, is that there's a lot of technology and a lot of vendors. Another one is skills.
Okay.
You know, there is a skills shortage more broadly in infrastructure and construction globally. What we are seeing as a counter to that is great software enabled and simulated by AI, like Bentley's OpenSite Plus and our iTwin platform, can start to do the work of more than one person.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's one way of overcoming the skills shortage.
For sure, that's really eloquently put. Do you find there's differences and nuances in the different countries that you operate in then?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, I look after the United Kingdom, continental Europe, which is part EU, non-EU. I look after the Middle East, and I look after continental Africa. So any one of them has a variety of different regulatory environments, different demands on infrastructure. I've got all of them. And so there's a lot of demands of different shapes and sizes. Some are onerous but appropriate. Others are more of a free environment, which can be equally risky and equally challenging to operate in. So navigating that and getting the technology right, getting the right delivery environment right, getting the incentives right is really hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, every day is very different for me.
Yeah, for sure. Before we started recording, Nathan said that it was his wife's birthday tomorrow and that he was going to have a day off. Like, come on, you cover multiple regions. There's no way you're having a day off.
No, it's I suppose I'm always on all the time. That might be a benefit or a risk. Yeah, it's important to take a bit of break and take a bit of rest and recharge.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I digress, being a bit flippant there. So where do you see the growth opportunities then from a regional perspective and the tech that will support that growth?
Well, I suppose firstly, there's growth in organizations like ours. Like I said, infrastructure has never been as well capitalized and the demands are profound. So business in theory should be good for those who are really committed, like Bentley, to the infrastructure sector. So organizations like ours should see a real rally and a resurgence and greater prosperity. And I'm really excited about that. There's a sense of positive mood in the market. Within the specific sectors, water, transportation and energy sectors that I can see real driving. Water, of course, it's the planet's most precious resource, and that's the removal of waste and flood water, as well as the provision of safe potable water, particularly for new cities, and as we see climate change give us different demands. Utilities, whether they be energy, etc., is again really important because you've got to have a form of energy, a form of heating, a form of power to sustain a safe and stable society. In transportation, we've got a lot of people to get around safely and securely. The only other angle that we're seeing a very recent resurgence, sadly, is an increase in defense investment.
Right.
And we're seeing defense and national security, particularly in continental Europe, because there are some conflicts that are driving that at the moment. Maybe that's overdue, but it's certainly present. And that's a big recent market investment that we're looking at as well.
I'm interested to hear your take on. You've got a huge area to cover, and in infrastructure, like you've just said, then loads of different sectors just within that infrastructure. Like, how do you focus and how do you manage and what's your secret? Because it seems like there's a lot of weight on your shoulders.
I've got a few more grey hairs now than I had a few years ago, but I'm still smiling. And I mean, I described it the other day. This is the Everest of my career. I absolutely love it. It's a privilege for me to have this role. I've got a brilliant team. And it's the power of that team and the enthusiasm in the team. I split my region into 5 to make it manageable. I've got 5 regional managing directors, each of them different but brilliant in their own way and reflective of those different regions I mentioned.
Perfect.
So yeah, I enable the team, I inspire the team, I hope I do. We have to drive them hard. They have a great duty and responsibility on their shoulders to look after our brilliant people and colleagues in their region and of course our fantastic clients.
Yeah.
I think if I did it all myself, I'd have even more grey hair. But I've got 5 brilliant managing directors and a great core team around them as well. And I'm very proud of that team.
Okay, cool. Well, maybe you can have that day off then.
I think so.
Okay, so as technology continues to advance, are you seeing a shift in the skills profile within construction?
Very much so. I mean, 20 years ago, there was no role specifically focused on data in construction, or certainly not a visible role. Major construction programs now have, amongst other things, a chief data officer, head of technology, head of systems, head of platforms, head of information security to protect against cyber risks. These are all new and exciting roles that are in hard hats and high vis and on site. And that's so cool. So construction has never been more digitalized, but of course it's less digitized than it will be in a few months' time. So we're seeing a lot of new exciting roles around data, systems and cybersecurity. We're also seeing the core act of designing, master planning, engineering, tier 1 contracting, and then managing the subsequent tiers, and of course the downstream owner operators that will take on the asset and manage it well. They will all, and they are all now increasingly digitally savvy. So heads of programs, heads of project delivery, heads of asset maintenance understand our data layer, information layer, application layer, systems layer, platform layer, all hang together. That language wasn't used 20 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. And like you rightly said, some of the actual roles weren't required, necessary, or even imagined like a year ago, I'd say.
It's great to have heads of artificial intelligence in major construction programs. You've got hard hats, boots, and mugs of tea with no handle on, next to someone developing code that then might be self-developing later on in months to come and solving problems, looking ahead in the schedule and unblocking incidents that haven't happened yet. That is super exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole industry, it feels like it is exciting. The change, the pace of change and how that's coming about and what we can see in this hall today, it feels really positive this year that we are, although there's a lot of unknowns with AI and the speed that's developing, it seems really positive and we're going in the right direction.
I believe we are. And I think I can only really speak for Bentley on this case, but I know that when we look at AI, we're incredibly excited. We see it as a welcome inevitability, but our approach is cautious, judicious, and very, very careful. We are acutely aware of the value of the assets and importance of the assets we are dealing with. Nuclear power stations, law enforcement installations, power networks, water networks, they simply cannot go wrong in design, engineering, construction, or use. So when we bring in our AI in, we are very careful to make sure we understand the provenance of the code, what its capabilities are, etc., how it's going to be used, and as best we can, protect ourselves against unintended consequences.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Massively sensible approach. It's great to hear. You're not the first person to start talking about more the ethical side and putting barriers up, but still embracing that change, which is what's required. Okay, so final question then for me, and leading on from what we've just spoken about there. It's the 10th anniversary of Digital Construction Week. Next 10 years?
Yeah, well, look,
what are we going to see for the next 10 years?
Oh, goodness me, crystal ball time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, firstly, a very happy birthday to DCW. It's never been as good as this.
Yeah.
And I love the proximity of the geotechnical conference next door as well, and construction and all things geotech and geospatial. I think is another example of how construction is evolving. We are absolutely committed. I think I mentioned a few minutes ago, Bentley's only ever operated in one sector. We are absolutely committed to infrastructure. It is what we are designed for, built for, and it's why we exist. We're really proud about that single sector focus. There are lots of other sectors we could do, but we don't. We are laser focused on infrastructure. So we are committed to the next generation of engineers, designers, and contractors and owners and operators, giving them the tools, the data, the appropriate use of AI, etc. As we mentioned, we are committed to arming and equipping those engineers to the best of our ability. And that's our mission as well. So that's a 10-year forward look for us. The 10 years are really exciting. The next 10 years are really exciting. I think the advent of true infrastructure scale digital twins, and that's a digital twin of a schedule, as well as the design and the asset itself, will be more prolific. Those single integrated operating environments, an infrastructure cloud, if you like, Bentley infrastructure cloud, we see as more prolific as well as one mechanism to bring in the full technology supply chain. So with a greater focus on data, a greater focus on information security, a focus on responsible AI, upskilling the next generation of engineers, providing that broad operating platform, the future is really exciting for infrastructure. And I'm very proud to play a small part of it.
That's fantastic, Nathan. That's a really good way to end this, because you've highlighted a lot of positives, a lot of change to happen, but for the right reasons and for the great good of the industry. So thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.